This is such an underhyped series. He's a Jon Snow. You're just like hanging out with your man and then boom, he's gone. It could just be the baby fever. Hi besties, welcome back. I'm really excited to film today's video because I'm going to be talking about my 25 books to read in 2025. This whole year, it's been chaotic in the best way possible. My reading goal of 2024 was not well achieved. Out of the 24 books, I read 12 of them. That's a failing grade. I wish it was higher, but that's okay. Maybe in 2025, it will be my reading year. Here are all the books that are on my 2024, and I will tell you which ones I read and which ones I did not read. Twilight, I did in fact read that. That was for a video idea, and it ended up never seeing the light of day. So if you guys want a Twilight situation, let me know. The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I really wanted to read a classic. Didn't get to it. The Way of Shadows, Night Angel Book 1 by Brent Weeks. That was going to be a reread for me to get ready for his newer series. City of Gold and Shadow or Otherland, Book 1 by Tad Williams. I didn't get to it. Babel by R.F. Kuang. I did in fact get to that. Funny Story by Emily Henry. I did in fact read that. Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Genuinely one of my favorite books of 2024 was that book. Kingdom of Ash. That was me telling myself to read the rest of TOG. I have not done that yet. Hopefully next year. Hopefully. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Really liked that book, by the way. If you had a hard time reading The Starless Sea, I think you should read The Night Circus first, because this one I feel like is more romance-based. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so good. It was so much fun. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I did in fact end up reading that. The Atlas Six. I didn't get to it. The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. That was really entertaining. I wish the audiobook was actually narrated by her. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I didn't get to it. A Little Life. That book emotionally destroyed me. Ruthless Vows. The year is still young. I know I said I probably won't end up reading any of these. Fourth Wing. I feel bad for those who read Fourth Wing and then read Iron Flame and hated it. I want to read all three and see how I feel after the series. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. That I did in fact read. That plot twist really got me. Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin on here. I've been putting that one off. I definitely want to make it a focal point for me to reading in 2025. City of Bones. Definitely got to it. Had a really good time reading it. Jade City. I don't know why I didn't pick that up. I feel like this year was very romance heavy. I did in fact read Mistborn. It took me over half of the year to read that damn book. Then we have Priory of the Orange Tree. Guys, you saw how thick that book is. The last book is Nevernight from the Nevernight Chronicle, book 1 from Jay Kristoff. I did in fact kind of start it this year. I just put it down as a soft DNF. So out of those, I only read 12 out of the 24. Out of the grand scheme of things, I'm a mood reader through and through, and I think, hey, that's okay. But now that we got that wrap up out of the way, let's talk about the books I want to read in 2025. I could go grab them off my shelves, but I'm too lazy. Out of the 25 books I want to read in 2025, there are some rereads in here, there are some anticipated releases on here, and some of them are books that have been on my shelves for too long and they need to get off the shelves. So the first one is Binding 13. I have been seeing this on the internet. I have the books. I want to read them really badly. I just don't know if I'm ready to get emotionally damaged yet. Binding 13, I believe, is about just a group of kids. I think it's based in Ireland. You're following Johnny and Shannon, I think. Don't really know what it's a whole bunch about. That's okay, don't spoil it for me. I've been trying to stay away from spoilers. The next one is For the Wolf. I saw that at Barnes & Noble and I was like, this looks so cool. I can't tell if it's like a Red Riding Hood like reimagining. And I think it's like there's two sisters and one of them was older, so the younger one got casted out to the wolves. I think there's gonna be like a rebellion to like take over the society. I don't know. What? I feel like I'm not doing it justice. As the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wood, in the hope that he'll return the world's captured gods. Red is almost relieved to go, plagued by a dangerous power she can't control. At least she knows that in the wilder wood she can't hurt those who she loves. Again. But the legends lie. The wolf is a man, not a monster. Her magic is a calling, not a curse. And if she doesn't learn how to use it, the monsters the gods have become will swallow the Wilderwood and her world whole. So it does kind of sound like a kind of Red Riding Hood retelling, slightly, but make it really dark fantasy. And I know it's a duology, which honestly, I love duologies. The next one is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I actually got to tackle all of Caraval this year. I'm very happy about that. I got to meet Jax in the Caraval trilogy. I want to know more about him. I have so many questions about how Caraval like ended and how this is gonna like roll into Once Upon a Broken Heart. I cannot wait. The next one is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I liked Babel quite a bit. It was a little too heavy on the academia setting for me. Like, I got kind of bored. I know it's about a girl who goes to a war college and she's not meant to be there, but she ends up training really hard for these tests and she makes it to the top war college. And I hear people, their hearts get like torn to pieces reading The Poppy War, and I really want to read it. Alright, so the next one is Outlander. This is so cool. I've seen the premise of it. People have been talking about it a little bit again, and it's about this woman. She is in World War II era and she's hanging out with her hubby. They're doing like a wedding anniversary trip thing. They're walking through some old places, some relics, and she walks through Stonehenge and instantly gets transported from like the 1700s to the 1400s. Isn't that wild? Like, you're just like hanging out with your man and then boom, he's gone and you're like in a completely different place. And I'm pretty sure this is also in Scotland. That's so cool. So she's now considered an Outlander. She's not from that time period. She's not from that timeline. I just know it's on Stars, I think. People love the series. They had said it's super spicy, but it's really, really fun, and I really want to try and read it. Next one is The 7 Years Slip by Ashley Poston. I tried reading The Dead Romantics this year, and I just didn't like it very much. Man, I don't know what it was, why I'm not picking that book up. Eventually, I'll read it. Billy Summers. This can't be a TBR video without having Stephen King. But Billy Summers is supposed to be about this assassin, and I think he's on his last ride, but he ends up getting played. So now he's like on the run. I think. That's just me trying to remember how that goes. Okay, so the next one is called The Queen's Poisoner by Jeff Wheeler. Guys, this is such an underhyped series. I've only read the first 2 books, and that was in like 2019. So I am going to reread the first one so I can like go down this rabbit hole that this author has created. King Severn Augustine, fearsome reputation precedes him. Attempting to depose him, the Duke of Kiscaden gambles and loses. Now the Duke must atone by handing over his young son as the king's hostage. And should his loyalty falter again, the boy will pay with his life. Seeking allies and eluding Severn's spies, Owen learns to survive in the court of King Fountain. But when new evidence of his father's betrayal threatens to seal his fate, Owen must win the vengeful king's favor by proving his worth through extraordinary means. And only one person can aid his desperate cause, a mysterious woman dwelling in secrecy who truly wields power over life, death, and destiny. I am so shocked that people have not read this book. I want to finish this series. I left myself on such a cliffhanger when I was reading those. I don't know why I stopped. The magic system is so good. I don't see why people don't talk about this. I feel like this is my sign. I have to read these books and like do reading vlogs with them because people need to read these. Alright, the next one is actually The Nightingale. This has been on my actual TBRs a little bit. I really like Kristen Hanna. I really enjoy her writing a lot. I just am not really a historical fiction reader. I don't read it very often. I want to get on a Kristen Hanna binge. I have a couple of her books here. I just need to read them. This is following 2 sisters during the World War II era in Paris, I believe. I think 2 of them, they're on like opposite sides. I'm just looking forward to it. I think it'll be really, really fun to read that and like finally get that off my TBR. Flock. I've actually added this book because of Bestie Larry. I'm pretty sure they're stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. Robin Hood, that one's it. Robin Hood. It's a Robin Hood, I think, retelling, right? It's gotta gotta be. It's a group of kids, right? Or a group of people. The one thing keeping Cecilia Horner knows about her move to the Triple Falls is that it'll be temporary. After 1 year working for her elusive father at his factory, he'll hand over the inheritance she needs to help her single mother. With that, Cecilia will leave the town and everyone in it behind forever. On her first day, she collides with her new supervisor, Sean. Sean lures Cecilia into a new world of sex, lies, and what? I think it's a Robin Hood kind of vibe. I think that I could be very wrong with that statement, but oh well. Great Big Beautiful Life of Emily Henry. That's getting released in April. She's an auto-buy author for me. I'm pretty sure it's like 2 people who are fighting for the position to write, I think, a memoir for somebody. The thing is they're allowed to talk with her and get her story, but they're not allowed to work with each other and like flip information because she's only giving one person one set of information and I think the other person gets another set of information, I think. Which is so cool and sounds like so much fun. I don't know, Emily Henry can write anything. I'll read her grocery list. The Bridge Kingdom. Why do I feel like it's been out for so long? Okay, originally was published in 2018. Pretty sure it's completed. This is new adult fantasy. So there's that for you. A warrior princess is trained in isolation. Lara is driven by 2 certainties. The first is that the king of the Bridge Kingdom is her enemy, and the second is that she is the one to bring him to his knees. I think that's all I'm going to read and leave you there with that. The next is Magnolia Parks. I read last year the first Magnolia Parks book and I liked it. I want to reread Magnolia Parks because I actually don't remember a damn thing that happened in it. I want to read Daisy Hates and the rest of the Magnolia Parks books. It's a goal. I want to read all of those books. So just think as this book saying Magnolia Parks, it's actually the whole series. We'll keep going. The next one is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I know this entire series has something to do with single dads. I really like the single dad trope. There's something about it that gets things moving. It could just be the baby fever. The next one is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. So I'm kind of over the quick burning books. I love spicy books. It's not for everybody and that's totally okay. But sometimes I don't want it to just instantly be spicy. I want them to be lusting for each other, but I don't want them to kiss yet until like page 300. The legendary Wall of Winnipeg may be adored by thousands, but after 2 years, Van has had enough. But when Aiden shows up at her door begging for her to come back, she's beyond shocked. Mr. Walled-off Emotions is actually letting his guard down for once, and she's even more dumbstruck when he explains that her job description is about to become even more outrageous. Something that takes the personal and personal assistant to a whole new level. I don't know. Would I say no to Mr. Winnipeg? I don't know. So, taking a complete opposite turn on the spectrum for romance, I want to read Haunting Adeline. I have a whole reading vlog idea of what I want to do with that book in particular. Me and dark romance, I think dark romance is a lot of fun for me personally. I just look at the trigger warnings, I'm like, I'm consenting, let's read it. Dark romance has stages, and that's just at the upper stage. And if you don't ever want to get up there, you don't have to. That's my 2 cents on the dark romance genre. It just looks like fun. I think I'll have a good time reading it. I think I want the crazy like, oh my gosh moments because it's so diabolical. Like it's so crazy. Like how is this like all ink on paper? But when that reading vlog does come out, Nana, you're not allowed to watch that one. My grandmother watches these videos. Hi, Nana. So I'm gonna go and try out Project Hail Mary. Why do I have such a hard time with me and sci-fi books? I just feel like I'm really dumb. Like I feel like I just don't get it. I read high fantasy, but that's easy because high fantasy or fantasy books in general are at least based in like an Earth environment. Sure, there's dragons and there's castles and stuff, but at least it's here on planet Earth. Mars? Who's she? Venus? Who's that? I don't know. Space? That's a lot. That's scary. I don't do well with big things that I can't comprehend. So Ryland is a sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission. If he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time, and he's been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction level threat to our species. I mean, that sounds freaking crazy, and it sounds like a grand good time, and I definitely want to read it. We're approaching an hour. Oh my god, we gotta hurry this up. The Assassin's Apprentice is the next book. This is Robin Hobb's first trilogy. I think it's about this boy. I think he might be related to the king. He's a bastard and he's a stable hand and he gets brought up in the work of assassin work. He's meant for the throne kind of thing. Like, he's a Jon Snow. That would be pretty cool. I would be cool with that. The next book is The Hobbit. And I haven't like actually read The Hobbit in damn near I don't know how many years. It's a classic. Bilbo Baggins, the prequel to everything, where he goes with all the dwarves to go fight the dragon Smaug in the Lonely Mountain with Gandalf. And I just think that's super cool. I don't know. I like those books. Tolkien is a comfort author for me. The movies are very comforting. Me and Nathan watch them every year. I think I want to read The Hobbit this year. Or next year. Six of Crows. I have had Six of Crows for a hot minute. I tried to read Six of Crows twice. And I'm like, do I just read the Shadow and Bone trilogy first so I understand the Grishaverse, and then do I jump into Six of Crows? I feel like that's not necessary. I feel like you should be able to jump into Six of Crows whenever you feel like it. I don't know. I have not read it, and it's been on my shelves for too long and it needs to be read. Next book, Crescent City. I have not read Crescent City yet, and I think I'm going to just like leave it there because I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Bryce is. And that's the only thing I know is that character's name. And I know it's more modern. That's it though. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about the multiverse here. Okay. Next book. If We Were Villains with ML Rio. I was a thespian in high school, so Shakespeare and me were cool. I think I would have a really good time reading a murder mystery Shakespearean novel. Next book, Threadneedle. It has been on my TBR for far too long, and that's the only reason why it is on this TBR. If this does not get read in 2025, I will fear to DNF forever. The premise sounds wonderful. It sounds like a really good time, and I cannot be bothered to pick it up. I don't know what it is. I need someone to tell me about it and like get me hyped for Threadneedle because I'm having such a hard time picking up that book and reading it. We have two more books. Second to the last is Guild. So the Bladed Prisoner series. Everyone says it's the King Midas retelling, which is the king touches things and things become gold. It looks like fun. I hear a lot of people don't like the first book, but if you continue the series, it gets a lot better. I tried to read Guild before, but because I have like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so good. You have to read it. Girlfriend, you got to read it. I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry, Susan. I'll read the book for you. I'm here. And then the last book, Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Swordcatcher is her adult fantasy debut. I think the second book is coming out in March or February. In the vibrant city of Castellane, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, the richest of the nobles and the most debauched of criminals have one thing in common: the constant search of wealth, power, and the next hedonistic thrill. Kell is an orphan, stolen from the life he knew to become the Swordcatcher, the body double of a royal heir, Prince Connor. He and Connor are as close as brothers, but as destiny is to die for Connor, no other future is possible. Lynn is a physician from a small community whose members still possess magical abilities, but despite her skills, she cannot heal her best friend without access to forbidden knowledge. After a failed assassination attempt brings Lynn and Kell together, and they are drawn into the web of the mysterious rag-picker king, the ruler of the Castellan criminal underworld. But as long-kept secrets begin to unravel and forbidden attractions arise, they must ask themselves, is knowledge worth the price of betrayal? And will their discoveries plunge their nation into war and the world into chaos? Also, low-key, the name Kell, I love that fantasy name. Maybe because of Kelsier from Mistborn, Kell from the Chakra Data Magic. Now we have Kell and Swordcatcher. Oh, I'm excited, all these Kells. Those are all the 25 books I would like to read in 2025. There's just something about getting lost in a world that doesn't make any sense or makes perfectly sense to you and living there with the other characters because reality sucks and we don't like being here half the time. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to hit like, follow, and subscribe, and it helps me out knowing that you have done so, and you'll be notified every time I upload if you hit that bell. I hope your life is full of happiness and love because you deserve it, bestie. I love you guys so much. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Mwah!